He should have never played. He should have never played. Let's talk about it. Before we start the story, guys, make sure that you smash that like, that thumbs up button, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let's talk about it, guys. This is tough. This is tough for Tua, for two reasons. He should have never played, and two, he's got a lot on his shoulders, right? He had a lot on his shoulders. He's trying to prove himself. But let's start talking about it. Let's go over what happened. So as far as in the game, if you were watching it or if you were on the stream last night with me, you could see that there was visible concern from myself, from the announcers, from the commentators. It just wasn't a good 10 minutes after he was injured. So I'm just going to read, what happened. So it says, Tagovailoa flew back with the team. He was in good spirits upon returning to his home in South Florida on Friday. A source told ESPN. Initial tests showed no structural damage. Another source confirmed to ESPN and Tagovailoa, who wore a neck brace as a precaution, will have an MRI. Tagovailoa hit the back of his head on the ground when he was sacked by Bengal nose tackle Josh Tupou, and his arms appeared to seize up almost immediately, and he remained on the field for roughly 10 minutes before he was loaded onto a stretcher and taken away. Now, if you've ever witnessed like a fight or someone being knocked out, you may see their arms go up and they seize that way, or they may shake and jitter around. These are all signs of like neurological damage when those kind of situations happen. And I'm not a doctor, but this is kind of just from experiencing being in contact sports and being in car accidents or being in fights and just seeing this kind of stuff and doing little minor research. But that's a neurological issue. So when you see somebody's hands end up and stay the way that they stayed into a situation, you know that there's something wrong there. At first, I thought that he landed on his hand, like his helmet hit his hand, and that's why his fingers were the way that they were. But come to find out, that wasn't the case, because when they ran the replay, his hand or his helmet didn't hit his hand. It was his neck that was injured that caused his hands to seize up that way. But I'm just going to continue on. It says, Dolphins coach Mike McDaniel and Tagovailoa called for him when he went down. He says, in quote, "I could tell it wasn't the same guy that I was used to seeing." McDaniel said, "It was a scary moment. He was evaluated for concussion. He's in the concussion protocol. He's being discharged. It's an emotional moment." And then so forth and so on. Now, going back to the Bills game, right? When this whole thing all started, because he shouldn't have played. It says, in Sunday's win over the Buffalo Bills, Tagovailoa underwent concussion evaluations at halftime after he hit his head on the ground and then stumbled while trying to return to the huddle. The team initially listed him as questionable to return because of a head injury, but later said it was a back injury that caused him to stumble. So, I guess the question is, did Tua kind of play it off and say, "Oh, I'm okay, guys. My head's fine. My neck's fine. It was just my back. I'm okay. Put me back in the game, coach. I want to win. I want to do it." Or was it overlooked? Was it overlooked so that he could play, and the benefit of the NFL, and the benefit of the Dolphins, and the benefit of the money, right? That's the question here. And then goes on to say the NFL Players Association requested a review of the NFL's concussion protocol following Tagovailoa's quick return to the game. Player health and safety is at the core of the union's mission. Our concern tonight is for Tua, and we hope for a full and speedy recovery. Our investigation into the potential protocol violation is ongoing, the NFLPA said in a statement after Tagovailoa was hurt Thursday night. So, our investigation into the potential protocol violation. So that means something was wrong. That means someone signed off and they shouldn't have. He shouldn't have played. Protocol violation means someone signed off somewhere. Someone's going to get in trouble for this. Not to mention, this guy's career is at risk right now. We don't know what's going to happen. His career is at risk because someone signed off and said, you know what, he's fine to play. It's crazy. I did want to play a couple clips by Skip and Shannon as well. So let's go ahead and get into that.
Injury. He should have never been out there. Skip, I played 14 years. You've covered it. I've seen guys get concussed, and they're literally snoring on the field. But I've never seen a concussion so bad where his body goes deformed, where his hands do things that I've never seen man's hands do they're being concussed.
That is true.
So what it tells me, and I'm not a neurologist, but he's probably had trauma within the last week to that brain, and then he had another trauma to it, and that's what happened. Skip, as an athlete, sometimes you have to save us from ourselves, because when you sign up for a team sport, you have to be willing to do things for said team.
Yep.
And I don't want to let my teammates down.
So right there, it goes back to what I said before. You know, he's trying to prove himself. He's basically saying, you know what, coach, I'm good. I can play. I feel okay. You know, visibly, we seen in the Bills game, he was not okay. He was shaking. He was stumbling. And it didn't look like someone that was okay to play coming back in the second half. But you know what? I guess us as fans, us as people watching the game, we kind of looked at, well, you know, they're playing football. These guys get hit all the time. But if you really go back and look at it, he looked like someone that was involved in a car crash. He should have never went back on that field. Now, granted, he played. They won the game. But I don't think he was okay. And obviously, we're seeing that now. There's a second part to this that I wanted to play as well, from Skip here, and I'm just trying to get here. Here we go.
That Mike McDaniel is trying to defend, like, I think he was totally fine. And what did they say after the game? They said it had zero to do with his head. They said it was all about his back locked up, and he also had an ankle injury. That's what they said after the game. And when we talked about it on Monday, you were shrugging like, well, I guess we have to believe them because an independent neurologist assigned to the game by the National Football League had to sign off on him playing the second half against the Bills. Am I right?
They did, but Skip, I can beat I'm fine. How many fingers I got up? I'm fine. It's Sunday. We're playing the Buffalo Bills. My name is Tua. My mama name is this. Skip, you can beat that because it's not like a broken bone where I can look at X-ray and see it. Oh, you got a broken bone. Or you got a torn ACL. It's not definitive like that. So you've got to be keen with what you see, and you've got to believe the player is telling you the truth.
Yep.
So I'm going to stop it there again. Now, and what Shannon's saying is completely right? You can't really see a neck injury visibly, right? You got to do x-rays, you have to do MRI, stuff like that. You can't see if there's an issue in the brain. You can't see if there's an issue in the neck from your eyes. There has to be tests ran and things like that. So if someone says that they're okay, then you may have someone sign off and say, okay, they're good to play, sign off on, and send them back out there on the field, not knowing the ramifications or the true issues behind how severe this injury could really be. So I guess in a sense, you have these NFL doctors or whatever who do their assessments and then sign off. Maybe you want to have another doctor. Maybe you want to have other sources that aren't directly tied to the NFL who can give other opinions opposed to just the NFL doctor's opinions, because money, right? So maybe that needs to happen so that these kind of things don't happen. Make sure you smash that like button, by the way, for the video. Thanks, guys. This is an interesting story, and I really feel bad for Tua. I really do. And this is coming from a Bills fan. I had a great time watching the game last night, and I was really hoping that Miami was going to pull this thing off. And that's coming from a Bills fan. So I love football in general, and you hate to see this happen to anybody in any kind of sport. But there's got to be some changes. Someone needs to be held accountable for this. And but we know how that goes. With that said, guys, make sure you smash that like. Also, subscribe to the channel for more news, sports streams, sports content. And see you in the next one, guys. Peace.